So I'm delighted to be joined today on the Blues Hour with JP Williams from JP Williams Blues Band. Familiar to us, we've been playing some of the music over the last couple of weeks, but JP is joining us today all the way from Pennsylvania, really on the back of the most recent album, JP and Ekat, which has been doing tremendously well. I think has been very well received by the music world. So let me just say hello to you, JP, and welcome to the Blues Hour.
Hi, Graham. Very happy to be here today. Thank you very much for the opportunity of letting me share some time with you here. Appreciate it.
Oh, it's a great joy for us. So, I mean, you are a multi-award-winning blues artist, but not just blues. Your love of music extends to folk and jazz and soul. And I think for this latest album, before we listen to some of the tracks from it, if I was trying to sum it up in a phrase, for me, it's a can't sit still album, because every track that comes on, I'm moving. If my foot's tapping or I'm inadvertently swaying from side to side, it's just so wonderfully catchy. Absolutely love it. So the first track that you've chosen for us today is Mighty Dangerous Boogie. Would you like to tell us a little bit about why you've chosen this one to get us going?
Yeah. With Mighty Dangerous Boogie, I wanted a cigar box tune to open the album. We'll talk a little bit about cigar box guitars, which I used on my last CD, Ever Blue, exclusively for the most part. When I say exclusively, every song had a cigar box on it. On this one, it's only on Mighty Dangerous Boogie, but I purposely wrote the song with one chord. There's only one chord in the song. I played the bass and the rhythm part on a 4-string hybrid cigar box guitar and dubbed the lead in on a Telecaster. Tommy Chi-Town Perrone, my harp player on this tune, added a massive sounding Chicago amplified harp. And my good friend Dominic Piccioni did the conga sound. And it was recorded during the pandemic remotely, by the way.
Yeah, we'll maybe mention that a little bit as well, because that must have been a challenge. But this is Mighty Dangerous Boogie from the CD, JP and Ekat. And so that was Mighty Dangerous Boogie. And we're joined today in the Blues Hour by JP Williams of the JP Williams Blues Band. So this latest album was a collaboration with Ekat Perea. And your previous albums have all been very well received. And I was going to ask you what it is that prompts somebody who's sort of doing well and whose music is doing well to go down the route of a collaboration. How you decided that Ekat was the right person to do that with, and if you want to say a little bit about that.
Well, this is our 5th commercial CD that we put out in the last 6 years. My 3rd CD was called Stolen Cadillac. It was an EP, actually. I asked Ekat Perea, who I'd met through her husband, who's a sound engineer who did co-produce this album with me, Lou Pereira, to sing backup. And she did a fabulous job. And then we started doing gigs together for about 2 years prior to the COVID lockdown. It was a great collaboration. So Ekat's an amazingly talented singer and performer, and I feel very blessed to have her be part of my music. For this album, I wanted to create some music that would show not only her abilities, but also allow me to stretch my songwriting beyond my normal male vocal range. I think her vocal range is just so large that it gives me opportunity to write music that I wouldn't normally be able to perform. I believe we accomplished it, and I'm really happy with the results. So that's how it started. When we were out at the live performances, we really defined the direction of what was going to be in the songs and what would be duets and solos and things like that. So that was good that we had that time before the pandemic.
One of the things I really felt about the album and the individual tracks when I was listening to them was that each of the elements gets a chance to showcase the skill doesn't it? So there are moments where Eddie and the harp or whatever, or Ekat or you and the cigar box guitar, each one is showcased, and then all the elements come together at the right time to make what I think is a beautifully crafted song.
Well, one of the things that I pretty much know in my head what once I've written a song, I pretty much know where I want to go with it, what I want it to sound like at the end. That doesn't always happen, but it's a start to give me a pretty good idea. One thing that I'm a firm believer in is the ability to understand the lyrics. So I really like music where I can listen to it without having to read the lyrics or listen 25 times before I get the emotions of the lyrics. And I think the same thing happens with the instruments. When I give it to the guys and gals in the band, I want them to bring their own unique talents to it. So when the opportunity arises inside the song, yes, we definitely want to showcase it. So that's intentional. It's very interesting you picked up on that. Thank you. I appreciate that.
It's lovely because nobody's lost. There's nobody who's just backing. They all get the chance to shine. And as somebody who doesn't write songs, I can only imagine how much more difficult that is compared to just a song that maybe is designed to showcase only the singer or only the guitar or whatever it might be. And especially as, your songs are very much from the heart. And you presumably you need to know and be able to trust that everybody who has a moment on the track is going to have that same intensity of emotion, so that when I listen to it, I get it from the whole rather than just from the vocals or whatever.
Well, like I said, I know that everybody appreciate that. Some songs tend to lend themselves more to that than others, and sometimes there's not much you can do to showcase a particular area, but other times it just pops out and it just happens, And our co-producer Lou Pereira was very good at that. He was very sensitive to the different sounds, and I think it shows on the CD.
Well, the second track that you've picked for the show today is "Need a Little Sugar." Do you want to just say why you've picked that one?
Well, "Need a Little Sugar" is kind of a tongue-in-cheek reminder of the days when lots of the blues songs had double meanings and were just slightly spicy and a little suggestive. This one was always planned as a duet, but when Ekat's powerful rendition of this, when she had her parts, was just so damn good that I felt I should stick to a supporting role. So I tried to stay in the background and not let her shine. And I think she just does an amazing job. And she really has captured the spirit of the old blues. And the same with Eric Brody on keyboards, our keyboard player. He's just got that old time sound there, and it just made me very happy when we put it together. So
that's really interesting you saying that, because when I listened to that song the first time, and Ekat was singing, when the male voice, when you came on, I was a little bit surprised. I hadn't expected it, but I think you're right. It captured. She's clearly the prominent vocal, but it did capture something, ye olde worldly blues.
Yeah, it's like I said, it originally started as a full duet, but her parts were just so good that I wanted to come and be a supportive role on it. And I've been told by a couple people that they liked the duet part of it, that it came out good. It's just hard sometimes to play the different roles and find what really works. But I think it did in this particular song. I was shocked when we released the CD a few months ago. It came out in February. We had done Mighty Dangerous Boogie, which is of course doing very well. But the first week it was out, Need a Little Sugar rose to #2 on the Roots Music Report charts. I mean, everybody that a lot of the DJs just picked up on that song and just started playing it. And like I said, it got to #2, not #1, but we were close. So that was good. So I think it has merit.
Oh, definitely. Well, let's listen to it now. This is JP and Ekat, Need a Little Sugar. So that was Need a Little Sugar. You mentioned, JP, a little while ago that the album was largely recorded during the restrictions. How challenging is that? How much more difficult is it when you can't just all go into a studio and do it normally?
Well, it was the first time that we had to do that. About half of the album, mostly the rhythm section and scratch vocals, were recorded, and rhythm section being guitar, piano, and not well, actually, sorry, guitar and bass and drums were recorded in studio. So, but the pandemic stopped our in-person efforts. So after that, it became more challenging, forcing the musicians who could to record remotely and send the tracks to Lou, our co-producer. He cleaned them up because they were various quality. You know, he had to clean them and make them fit into what we were doing. And he made everything work. And he has incredible skills and did an amazing job with the final product. It's definitely difficult and challenging. Because unless you're having musicians go to a studio, which wasn't possible even at times, they all worked through it though with a positive attitude, and there was very little that we couldn't use. There was a few little odds and ends that we couldn't use or had to do over, but generally speaking, it worked out, and I was pretty amazed.
Well, certainly you're right. It's seamless. I mean, you would never tell. So yeah, a collective effort that really ticks all the boxes.
Well, we've worked with people recording remotely a little bit before. It was just like the top of the surface of it. But I mean, this particular one was a challenge. Our sax player on the tracks, Andy Bauer, who's an incredible musician from New Orleans. He recorded down in New Orleans. We sent him the tracks. He sends them back. We had people from all over our area record and send us stuff back. So it was a process. That's all. And unfortunately, not every musician has a studio in their house. So. A couple things, we had to do, on very limited equipment. And I have a little portable studio, and I was able to finish up a couple tracks by going to visit the musician who was able to do that. But with the quarantines and stuff, it's difficult. You don't want to impose on people either, and say, I'm coming over here. I'm coming over your house, and you're going to record.
Well, one other thing I was going to ask you about before we play your third track, and that's cigar box guitars, because I love that, and I had been on your YouTube channel, and I know that it was a collaboration that you designed the 4-string, the hybrid one, but also the oil can, the video on your YouTube channel, which when you're unboxing the oil can guitar from, let me get it right, the New Egypt Folk String Instrument Company.
Yeah, that's a guy by the name of Jim Milligan who owns that.
Well, it looked like a beautiful thing, but obviously when you started playing it, a well-made thing. So what is it that draws you to a cigar box guitar, the oil can guitar? What's the draw for you in that?
Well, about 4 years ago, I became interested in cigar box guitars. I saw a bunch of blues artists playing them, and I had the idea that it would be the limitation of 3 and 4 strings would drive me in new directions for writing and interpreting traditional blues songs, writing new ones and interpreting existing ones. there's different sound options that come from a cigar box because of the way it's built too. And I just thought it'd be a great idea to learn how to do it, just to make it part of my repertoire. I found that to be true. The song Cigar Box Boogie, which we released 2017-18, got up to be #1. That one made it to #1 on the Roots music chart in May of 2018. And the current one with Cigar Box is Mighty Dangerous Boogie you played earlier. That one features the 4-string hybrid, which is a bass string and 3 tenor strings. So it's quite an interesting concept and figuring out how to play it, and it drives me in different directions. So that's why I do it. I've been lucky enough to be on the main stage at the Pennsylvania Cigar Box Festival here in Pennsylvania for the past 3 years that they had it. I guess that would be 17, 18, and 19, and it's a great little festival, and I'm pleased to participate in. We're supposed to go back there in August. I hope they have it, and we've been asked back again for a 4th year. So a lot of things happening with cigar box guitars and a lot of creative people. And of course, we're an endorsee for the New Egypt Folk String Instrument Company. So
the Pennsylvania Cigar Box Festival sounds like something I need to go to one day. That sounds great fun.
Well, it's not your 10,000 people festival, but the people that come are very devoted, and they have 2 stages going all the time, and just a lot of vendors and things like that. And that's it's just a good time. It's a fun time, and it never rains there. I've been there 3 years, and it never rained. So the stage fell on me one time, but part of the stage fell down. But other than that, it's been dandy.
But that's quite a bluesy thing to happen, isn't it? The stage falling down.
Yeah, it just came down, and we kept playing, and after that happened, we had a lot of people came up and bought CDs from us, and they said, I love your music, but I more love how you can play while the stage is falling down. Which I don't know. That was very nice comments of them. They appreciated that we didn't stop the show, so that was good.
Yeah, you can't buy that kind of word of mouth publicity. And every time they talk about blues, they will say, "And we saw the stage fell, and they kept going. And here's the CD."
Yeah, so that was good. It was all good stuff. So we hope to get back there. I hope they have it. I don't know. With the pandemic, we're all in kind of flux about dates coming up. We have a few things, but it's difficult because we book stuff and then it gets canceled already. So it's not easy to do. So let's hope this ends soon for everybody.
But for me, I love the image of the cigar box because I think it's quite close to some of the early blues guys who had to make do with what they could get their hands on. I mean, if I buy a guitar string, you can buy it up to, I decide the material, I decide the thickness down to 1/10 of a millimeter. These guys, any bit of wire that they could get stretched over any kind of body and neck. So I love that, the connection. When I hear a cigar box guitar, to me, it has a connection to that old traditional, the early guys who just had nothing. They just wanted to make something that would enable them to have a voice. I love it. Really do.
And the same thing with the oil can guitar that you mentioned. I kept seeing a couple people playing oil cans, and I thought, it really didn't have that much difference electrically, but it just looked so darn cool. I just thought I'd do it. So I called Jim up, who builds the guitars for me, and I said, I have an oil can and a neck, and I'd like to have an oil can guitar. And he said, send it down. He's an amazing builder. He sent it back. Didn't have my neck on it. He said that neck was no good. I got you a better neck. So, but he built it, and it plays stupendously. It's just an amazing instrument, and you can have some real fun with it. And the idea for me is to use the different sounds and the different feel of the instrument to create something different. I don't, with my music, I don't want to be just redoing, 12 bar blues over and over again, not there's anything wrong with that. And there's people who do it a lot better than I do. Don't get me wrong. They're fantastic at it. And, but it's not what I like to do. I like to, try and get something out of every song, that's a little bit different and has some appeal to the listener. So,
yeah. Well, your third song for today is Around Midnight. So if you would like to just say a word or two about what or why you chose Around Midnight.
Well, this tune was always going to be a showcase for Ekat on this CD. And she uses the verses of the song to build the dynamics perfectly. When you listen, you can hear that. She just builds up until you can really feel the heartbreak and the loneliness in her voice. It's perfect. And again, Eric Brody on keyboard, he just nailed the emotional feelings and placed them in a true sense into the piano that he does. And the title, a lot of people ask me about the title Around Midnight because obviously there's other songs with that title, famous jazz tunes, but I tried to change the title, to be honest with you, after I wrote it. But to me, it was always called Around Midnight, and I just kept the title. So I think it's appropriate for the emotions in the song. So.
Midnight is the time for the blues, isn't it?
It is. It's the time. It's the time in this song for the feeling that come through. I think, and just the deep of the night. So that's what it's about. But I let people judge that.
This is Around Midnight from JP and Ekat. Okay, so JP, thank you so much for joining us. You've been really generous with your time. How can folks stay in touch with the JP Williams Blues Band to find out more about releases, gigs, or merchandise? Is there a website or something you can direct us to, or a mailing list?
Well, we're on everything as far as that goes. We're not hard to find. JP Ekat, 6 digits there, jpekat.com. And there is actually links to the website there as well as ability to purchase. The main website is jp-williams.com. And that has everything on it, including all our stuff and our back albums and things you can listen to. And we're on Spotify. You can just type JP Williams Blues Band. We're on all the major platforms, Apple, Amazon, anything that's out there, we're on them. So just go ahead and please listen up, and enjoy.
Well, we don't have a Facebook page for the Whiskey Rev Blues Show, so I'll make sure those details are put onto that. But if anybody forgets for any reason, then they can just contact me at the show, and I will point them in the right direction. Can I just say then a big thank you for coming on the show? It's been great to chat to you. We love the music, and we'll continue to listen to it. We've got 5 albums worth to get through.
Yeah, it take a couple of minutes to get through them, but I do appreciate the there's something for everybody in the music, I think, and I try to make it so that people will enjoy what they hear and have something different. So please listen up. That's all I can ask you. And when you do, turn it up, turn it way up,
and be prepared to move. It's a move.
Be prepared to move. That's good. I like that. I like that a lot. Thank you so much for having me on, Graham. It's been a pleasure.
Oh, my pleasure. So we'll stop the interview there, and I'll probably have to kind of take some of the bits out just to kind of fit it into the time slot. But we'll just leave this one up here. That oil can guitar, I'd never seen anything like that before, and it just looked a thing of absolute beauty. It really did.
Well, the problem was with it, between me and you, is I wanted to try an oil can guitar because I thought it looked really cool and it would be fun to fool around with. And I saw a couple that were out there on the web. There was a couple cheap imitations, just like you would say, inexpensive guitars. Okay, and I thought about buying one of them, and then I thought, well, I'll just bug Jim, who's a good supporter of mine. I'll just bug him, and then I thought, well, I can't just tell him to go get the whole guitar, so I would send him the parts for it, which I did. Um, most of the parts, although he didn't use all the parts. He does what he wants to do. But the trouble was finding a can. Believe it or not, they don't make those cans anymore. Everything comes in a plastic bucket, and that one there is a and the old oil cans that have like I don't know, Shell or Exxon or Mobil or BP oil. Okay,
Yeah.
when they those cans sell for a fortune. You'd be surprised. Oh yeah, I found a couple of nice BP cans and some other stuff, and they were $80 for the empty can. You know, because they were in good condition. It wasn't any sense in building a guitar around a rusted one, so you had to get one in
Yeah.
decent shape. So it was like $80 for the can. I didn't know if the guitar was even going to work. So I went to the local store and they had like a electrical cleaner or something, which is what that is. But it's cool. I'll have to send you a picture of the writing on it. It's got really interesting writing on it, and it 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 was only like $15 or something like that. So that was good.
Yeah.
And he had an extra neck, and I sent the electronics down, and so it worked out. It was really good. He does amazing work, this guy. So I'm very happy that he's a supporter of mine. With every cigar box he sells, he gives out one of my CDs. Um,
Cool.
yeah, I think he's got some other people that he endorses them too. That endorses uh, guitars. But he sells just about everything he builds. So that's a good
Yeah.
uh, recommendation as far as that goes. So
Proper craftsman. If you find a proper craftsman, it's worth keeping his number, right?
yeah, well, that's the whole thing. I mean, you have to have some pride in what you do, and I think there's a lot of really good builders out there. The problem with a lot of the guitars is the resale value. I don't know if you're a musician or not, but it's always easy to buy, sell, or trade a Fender, a Gibson, a Marshall amp. It's always easy because the prices are set and people want them and they're looking for them. There's a guy not too far away from here, from where I live, I'd say about maybe an hour and 15 minutes drive, who builds the most incredible guitars out of wood, all kinds of found wood and stuff like that. I mean, they're just gorgeous guitars. But by the time he gets done, you're talking about $1,500, $2,000 guitar, and which is great if you have that kind of money and they sound good. But the resale value is just not there. I mean, you'd be lucky to get $300 or $400 maybe on eBay or Reverb or something like that because nobody knows who they are. And it's just it's unfortunate for builders to do that. Some make it, and they have resale value after they've been doing it for a while, like PRS and all these other people that weren't around, when I first started playing. But it's a tough game, So
Yeah.
so the craftsmen have it hard, but no pity from the musicians. We've got it hard too.
Well, maybe sometime we can get him on and have a chat about some of his guitars if he would be willing to come on, even just the YouTube bit. We could maybe do that because it's fascinating and the skill of it. Because if you get a little bit off, it's rubbish, right? I mean, you have to get it right every aspect of it.
That might be a good idea. I mean, if you're interested in doing that, I would definitely talk with Jim about doing a little YouTube with you. he's pretty knowledgeable about guitars, and a lot of people ask me all the time about cigar box guitars. I mean, when I play, I obviously use them in performance, and people always come up. I can't think of a show that people have come up and say, "Can I see the cigar box guitar?" Um, especially musicians. If we're at a multi-musician thing, everybody will want to take a look at them and play them sometimes. Um, so I think there's interest in it from the blues community. A lot of people do that. I'm friends with Shane Spiel, who is kind of the spokesperson for CB Giddy CB Giddy, which sells the parts to build them. And
Yeah,
they do sell guitars, but I think they mostly sell parts and provide the little odds and ends that you need to build this stuff. I'm not a builder, so I'm not going to try to put one together. My time is better spent playing them. But there's a lot of people that love to build them and play them, and that's great. There's a guy in town I just found who builds really nice ones that I've known for a while, and he found out about me. Well, I knew him before, and he said, "I saw one of your videos. Can we get together?" And he had really nice guitars. He's building them right here in little old Tunkhannock, Pennsylvania. So that's interesting.
magic.
So yeah, there might be some interest for that type of show. That would be good. That would be really cool.
Anything that just gets more blues out there, more blues knowledge out there sounds like a good plan.
Yeah, the whole problem with blues is it's definitely a genre that needs to get as much respect as possible. We got sometimes I go on these things where they have like what genre are you? And I go down the list and blues is listed, and boy, that really pisses me off there when they do that. I'm like, what? And maybe R&B is listed, which is not exactly blues, but at least something. But jazz is there, and folk, and hip hop and everything. But there's no blues, so it's interesting. So
We are not a subgenre. We deserve our own. On the
That's right.
drop-down menu, we deserve our own place.
Absolutely. There's no debating that. So, but I think there are a lot of people out there trying to, there's a lot of good young talent. I mean, there's a lot of really good people out there. I'm very impressed with Veronica Lewis. She's 17 years old. Give me a break. What were you doing at 17?
I was probably dreaming of what she's actually doing.
Yeah, but dreaming about it. But she's actually doing it. She's very talented. Another gal from around this area that I know is Vanessa Collier. She's not too far away, and has played at a couple festivals that I have. She's great. And the young guy named Gabe Stillman. I don't know if you know him.
I've heard that name. I think one of the blues magazines. I think.
Yeah, he recorded an album last year with the Nighthawks. They've got about 20 blues albums out and well established. He recorded an album with them, and he just signed a contract with a record company, Rough Records, I think it is. There's a lot of really talented young blues gals out there, and I applaud them and I support them. I do a little Spotify list out on Spotify every month. Of course, it's a little self-serving because it has one of my songs in it, of course, to get people to listen to. But I always try to highlight people that I listen to. It's a Spotify list of stuff that I'm actually listening to. So I put like a baker's dozen, 13 songs on it every month. So
I had a Veronica Lewis track on the show last week, and I played it, and I said you would never, if I hadn't told you, you would never guess. I mean, 17.
Yeah. Yeah, people are. I didn't believe it either. I mean, I even saw the video and I thought, I wonder. I says, I know she's young. I know she's a young talent. And then I started reading, and she's only 17 years old. So I mean, the world's at her feet. As far as that goes. I mean, she's got an incredible amount of talent. She's got the piano chops. She's got the vocals. Hopefully, she'll have some good people to guide her because I mean, at 17, let's face it, the world is full of pitfalls, as you well know, as we all know. So hopefully, she can hold that together, and I think she's got an amazing career ahead of her. But it's a hard life. It's not an easy life.
But I think that the blues world, and I don't think I'm being overly optimistic in saying this, is probably full of experienced people who will watch out for her, for young folk coming through and share their experience. And that's what largely the blues is about, isn't it? Sharing the experience and giving people a help up. So I'm so looking forward to where she goes and what she does and what she's going to bring out.
Well, I think that's true. I think that will be a big help to her. And I think that somebody once said to me, the blues community is rather small, or not. That's not the word they use. They said closed. In relation to being tight, like a lot of people know each other, and that I found to be true. Okay, so I think you're absolutely right about that. The problem is that there's a lot of when you become famous, which I'm not, but I mean I've seen it in other people, and I've known other artists. There's a lot of pressures that they're not equipped to handle. Some handle it better than others, and it's the outside influences I think that can cause problems. I mean, between me and you, when I first started playing music and was young, I mean, a lot of people drank heavily. I mean, take to excess. Did recreational drugs heavily. Okay, and now with most of the older musicians they've kind of tempered that a lot. Okay, and it's maybe part of growing a little bit older, but you learn you don't have to do everything to excess. It keeps you on a better path. So I think that that's part of the problems of youth, but I hope she'll get through it, and everybody, all the other young artists do too. So,
absolutely. Listen, you have been so kind with your time that I've taken up more than an hour of your time, and I'm really grateful. And hopefully we can do it again sometime.
Yeah, that'd be great. And like you said, I wouldn't mind doing. When this broadcast now, will people be able to chat and ask questions?
If we do another one when it's live, they'll be able to ask
questions. Okay, all right.
At the moment, if you go onto YouTube, this is live on YouTube just now. But if we were doing it again, we would probably maybe plan it, say 2 or 3 weeks ahead of time, and then you could put it out on your website, and I would put it out on the show and through Facebook and things, and we would invite people. So we would say 4 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, JP is going to be chatting. Come along, and you can ask your questions, and we would really just have kind of hang out. In the old days, it was Google Hangouts that streamed live to YouTube, but StreamYard seems to work better. And then the questions would come up on the screen, and we would just interact with your fans. And I say if they wanted to, they can use a super chat feature, which is kind of designed, I think, for sort of business type use. But it is a way that people could say, love the song, here's $5 or whatever, and then it just at the end of it, you get a wee lump sum payment. If the thing grows, then once the channel has over 1,000 subscribers, people can subscribe through Patreon, and then they could say, well, I'll give $1 a month to the Whiskey YouTube channel, and then I could say to you, come back on, and when it broadcasts, it just automatically £1 or $1 will come out of their account, and that means I can say to you, thanks you for coming on. Here's a couple of $100.
Well, yeah, I'd rather see you make enough to make it work for you, to start with. That's my first opinion that I have of that. But you're welcome to do however you feel as the artist. But I would like, I heartily support you being able to fund the program. I think Patreon is a good thing for people to do.
Yeah.
What you're talking about, I don't know if you're familiar with Larkin Poe, if you've ever seen their
Yeah.
broadcasts. I mean, but they do some live things where people get on there and they get a pretty good following. They have very good following because they're very much at the forefront of blues right now. Very talented young women.
Yeah.
As is her husband Tyler. But the fact is. They have people that donate money and stuff right online to them, and I think that's great. I think that they need to do that to make money, and it's great, that we have that ability. So anything you can do along those lines, more power to you. I think it's a good way to go.
It'll take a wee bit of time. I'm not under any illusions that it will happen fast, but I think hopefully there's an opening there that we can help musicians and get musicians and fans closer together.
Now, when you broadcast on your show, do you open up like a Facebook chat or anything like that? I know some of the stations that I deal with have a couple different things. Some of them have a chat room. Others have they just open up their Facebook and they put what song is playing or what's going on, and people tend to log in there. Sometimes I'll try to support them as best I can. I always try to post up when the show is going to be, when my music is going to be played, and also if there's a chat room, I invite our fans and friends to go, and jump in. And sometimes they do. I mean, you can't force people, but they definitely. I've had some of the radio guys go, wow, I don't usually get more than a couple people, and we've gotten a couple dozen this week, so that's good.
Yeah, so Facebook would be another opportunity. The YouTube one, I've kind of learned from my friend Roy, who does the whiskey videos. Because they can easily follow the chat room. The more formats you have on, you would need like another screen just so you can follow the various conversations. But that can all be done. It's just a bit sort of feeling my way. I mean, I'm kind of new to broadcasting, as you can probably guess. I've been doing this really just since last summer. Took it up during the pandemic. But in chatting to people and reading interviews, it was seeing how difficult musicians are finding it that made me think, well, let's see if we can do something even in the long term that gives a bit of help.
That's very nice of you as far as that goes, and it's a great thing. So I appreciate it. I like the StreamYard. It seems pretty seamless. So I'll check them out and see. Is that a subscription service?
Yeah. So it's about £25 a month for StreamYard. That would get rid of. See in the top right of the screen, it says StreamYard and just the wee white letters, small white letters. If you don't pay anything, there is a free version, but then you have the StreamYard logo, which is a green duck head that appears on your screen, and you can't get rid of that. So I paid for the middle one. If I paid the full £25, there would be nothing there, and then I could put something of my own if I wanted to.
Like you said, I'm a firm believer in I'm a firm believer in two things. If you're using it and you can get more out of it by paying for it or supporting it, that's worthwhile. If you're not using it, then it doesn't matter. So don't bother paying for it. A lot of these, there's this new thing on. I don't know if you're an Apple user or not.
I've got a daughter who's immersed in Apple. Yeah.
Okay, so I mean, if you use Apple, there's the new version of the software is cutting back on the ability for these ad people to get your information, and it's supposedly going to force a lot of the apps to charge you a couple dollars that are free now. And I looked at my phone, and I have 200 apps on there, of which I only use about 10. So if I have to pay for those 10 and they're better, that's not a bad idea, to to get some privacy out of it. So it's not and maybe things will get better. There'll be better apps if they're not free. That they can make some money. So I'm a firm believer of the people doing the work should get paid for it. So, or at least be able to afford to do it. So
absolutely.
Well, it's been a pleasure.
Absolutely. So this is all on YouTube. So I'll maybe go in and I'll maybe take the bit about if you're happy for everything that we've spoken about to be on YouTube, I'll just leave it. But otherwise, I can take out the bits that we spoke about Patreon or whatever. I can take those bits out and leave the rest on. It's entirely up to yourself.
Well, I don't think I said anything that I shouldn't have said, but
no.
I'll let you know after I watch it. So.
And I'll maybe ask for a favor. The next time you're in a studio in front of the microphone, if you want to just do a wee thing that I can use as a name drop to keep you in people's minds. This is blues.
Oh, sure. I'll be happy to. If you want to send me a little blurb of your call letters or whatever you use, I'll be happy to do a custom drop or two for you and send it along to you. How's that?
That'd be magic. A little note on the cigar box guitar as an intro would make my day.
Okay, sounds good. We'll be happy to do that. It's been an absolute
pleasure.
Thank you.
All the best with the album. I'm sure it'll go from some strength to strength, and I look forward to watching it and chatting again someday.
Thank you so much. You have a great